All right. Hey guys. Hey, welcome back to Truth, Trust, and Trajectory with your girl Shakimbi. Today I'm going to be doing episode 4 in my 5-part mini series. I want to thank you guys for returning back. And if you haven't watched the previous episodes, make sure you guys check out my channel. So, in the last episode, we talked about practical tools for trauma recovery. We talked about things like grounding techniques, breathing exercises, and journaling. Today, we're going to be exploring something equally powerful, but not often talked about, and that is self compassion. So, the thing about it is, when you've been through trauma, it's easy to be hard on yourself. We might blame ourselves for what happened or feel like we're not healing fast enough. But the truth really is, healing isn't about perfection, it's about how you show up for yourself with kindness, even on the hard days. So, in this episode, we're going to be talking about how self compassion can help you rewrite your story, not as a victim, but as someone who is resilient, worthy, and capable of healing. So, before I get started, make sure you guys subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss another episode. Also, make sure you guys give me a thumbs up. And without further ado, All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. So, I'm going to jump right into self compassion and talk about three different components that are a good practice of self compassion. Oh my God, guys, it's early. All right, so the first step is self kindness. So, being gentle with yourself, especially when you're struggling. And so, what this looks like is omitting and eliminating like slander or like bad banter against yourself. And I used to do this a lot. And this usually comes like out of frustration because when you expect to heal, one of the things that I noticed is the healing process it can be very slow. And so we expect to heal rather fast, right? I mean, when we think about it, it takes years, right? It could take a series of years for you to get into this mindset or, have this damaged perspective or outlook on life. And so when we're healing, we expect it to go relatively fast. And when we're not healing on the level that we feel like we should be healing on, what tends to happen in my case at one point was I was getting so frustrated with the fact that I was taking a little bit longer to break out of old patterns or cycles, right? So like if I say I'm done with somebody and then I'm still dealing with them, and then it literally goes the same exact way that caused the separation in the first place, I would find myself feeling like despair and really frustrated. So this is where self-kindness comes into play. And then also practicing common humanity. So that's recognizing that you're not alone and everyone experiences pain and suffering. And I think one thing about trauma and us healing is when you're going through this, and especially for a lot of women, women of color especially, we tend to go through a lot of traumatic things by ourselves. We don't have like a huge support system. So it's very easy to feel like, these are things that you're only going through, only you are going through them. And so, that feeling alone, it can be even more isolating. And then the third component is just being mindful. So what that looks like is holding your emotions and awareness without judgment or avoidance, right? So it means sitting with your emotions, sitting with that pain, that frustration, that anguish, despair, disgust, whatever it is, sitting with it, but not living in it. So when we practice self-compassion, we create a safe space within ourselves to heal. Instead of beating ourselves up for our mistakes or our struggles, we offer ourselves grace. And that can be incredibly powerful, especially when it comes to trauma recovery. So now I want to talk about why self-compassion matters in trauma recovery. So, when we've been through trauma, it's common to internalize the pain. We might tell ourselves things like, this happened because I'm not good enough, or I should be over this by now. But the one thing about it is those thoughts aren't just unkind, they're also untrue. Self compassion helps us to challenge those beliefs. It reminds us that what happened to us isn't our fault and that we're not alone in that pain. It also helps us to approach our healing journey with patience and understanding rather than frustration and shame. In other words, self compassion isn't just nice to have, it is definitely a crucial part of our healing process. So, now I want to talk to you guys about how to practice self compassion. I'm going to give you guys three simple but powerful ways to get started. And number one, you want to talk to yourself like a friend. The next time you're feeling down or struggling, you want to ask yourself, what would I say to a friend in this situation? When those kind, supportive words that you would deliver to a friend, when you practice those things for yourself, you'll notice a huge difference. The second one, and this is something that I've used so many times. And it took me a while to actually get into it and start writing it with conviction, but it actually works. So, what you want to do is you want to write yourself a self compassion letter. So, what that looks like is taking a few minutes to write yourself a letter from the perspective of a compassionate friend. What would you say to yourself about the struggle? How would you remind yourself of your strength and your worth? And then the third tip is to practice the self compassion break. So, this is a simple exercise you can do anytime and anywhere. It involves only 3 steps, guys. So, the first step is to acknowledge your pain. So, that can look like, this is really hard for me right now, right? Then you want to remind yourself of common humanity. So basically, that's like, I'm not alone in this. And then lastly, you want to offer yourself kindness. So that could look like, may I be kind to myself in this moment? Or what can I do to show myself, some sort of level of compassion, kindness, care, love? And these practices might feel awkward in the beginning, especially if you're used to being hard on yourself. But over time, they can help you build more compassionate relationship with yourself. Okay, so one of the most powerful things about self-compassion is that it allows us to rewrite our story. So when we've been through trauma, it's easy to see ourselves as the victims, as people who were broken or defined by what happened to us. But self compassion helps us to see ourselves differently. It helps us recognize our resilience, our strength, and our capacity to grow. So, for anyone that's wondering, like, how can you rewrite your story? You want to acknowledge your pain. So, the first step to healing is going to be the acknowledgement that something is off, right? Something has happened and it has affected you. It's not about dwelling in the past, it's about honoring your experiences. So, I think when you're able to acknowledge that, something in fact did affect your outlook or your perspective on life, and it might hurt. That opens up a pathway to start rethinking about the way that you view things. So, this is where reframing comes into play. So, instead of seeing yourself as a victim, you want to look at yourself like a survivor. So, you want to ask, like, what strengths do you develop or have you developed as a result of what you've been through? And then, lastly, you want to celebrate your progress. Healing isn't linear and it's not about reaching some finish line. It's about celebrating the small wins along the way, like moments when you choose kindness over criticism or when you take a step towards healing, no matter how small it is. All right. And if you guys are watching this thinking you want to be kinder to yourself, I want you to know that you're already on the right path. Just by being here and exploring these ideas, you're showing up for yourself in a very powerful way. So, in the next episode, we're going to be talking about how to build resilience and move forward. And if you guys don't want to miss the next episode, please make sure you guys subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you're looking for more resources to support your healing journey, head over to my website, Truth, Trust, and Trajectory.com, right here. And you guys are going to find some tools, guides, and even more in depth content to help you take the next step. So until then, you guys, please remember this: you are not defined by what happened to you. You are so much more than your pain, and your story is not over. It is just getting started. Let me know in the comments what is one way you're going to practice self compassion this week. And until next time, see you later. Bye.